Welcome into Seattle Seahawks today. I am your host, Tom Downey, here to discuss some free agency for the Seattle Seahawks, namely some offensive line targets. The beginning of NFL free agency, that legal tampering period just around the corner. Now, the Seahawks, as needed, can create cap space. They have a pretty decent amount already available to them, which in all reality should be used to help upgrade that offensive line. Do you want to keep Russell Wilson happy? Do you want to make sure your franchise quarterback sticks around for longer? You should probably go ahead and do that, which, it should be the top focus regardless of who the team's quarterback is, because that offensive line, it needs some help. Now, there are plenty of needs for this team to fill. We'll focus on all of them throughout this offseason, but we're focused on the O-line today, where you have Dwayne Brown at left tackle. You're good there. Damian Lewis, I think you feel good about him at right guard. The other three spots, you will at least consider upgrading. Not necessarily going to go to lock yourself into upgrading right tackle. Brandon Shell was good enough last year. But left guard, center, Jordan Simmons and Ethan Posick, it's not really going to get the job done. Plus, they're both free agents in some capacity. So do you want Seattle to invest in the offensive line? If you guys do, and I think you all want that, like today's video. In theory, we should have like 1,000 likes on this one. Let's see how many of you want to upgrade the O-line this offseason. Let's start with centers then. Some options for Seattle. We got a lot of names, so we'll go quickly on these, right? Corey Linsely, the obvious number one target there, was not franchise tagged by the Green Bay Packers. He comes in, instantly becomes this team's best center since prime, healthy Justin Britt, or heck, maybe even Max Unger if you want to go that far back. So if you can get Corey Linsely, knowing he'll be expensive, approaching $12 million if not more, it makes a lot of sense for Seattle. A name we haven't really mentioned before, but I think does make sense, especially in light of the addition of Shane Waldron as this team's offensive coordinator, is Austin Blythe, the center from the LA Rams. A bit inconsistent at times, but in theory, he fits what offense the new coordinator wants to run. So with that familiarity, I think he does make quite a bit of sense. If you want to go veteran route and still potentially draft someone early, how about Alex Mack? Now, he is no longer the arguably best center in the NFL. The level of play has begun to decline, which makes sense when you're 35 years old. But if you need a cheaper stopgap option and allowing you to pursue another name or two on this list, Alex Mack is a name to monitor. Next up is Austin Ryder from the Chiefs. Kansas City can make more cap space if they want. They might not bring him back, though. Kind of in between the level of a Corey Linsely, maybe a little bit better than Alex Mack, probably more expensive. He's younger, though, too. So if you were to bring in Austin Ryder, who does have some guard experience as well, you know what? That could potentially make some sense. Some other centers I want to mention, since I kind of think Seattle should address this need now and then free themselves up in the draft to maybe take a guard. Some what I'm going to call middling options, if you will. Nick Martin. Yes, he's Zach Martin's brother. He's not nearly as good. Ted Karras is fine as a starter. Maybe a little bit better than Ethan Posick. Matt Skura looked good a few years ago, but there's been some injuries, some inconsistency there. That's actually 7 centers to keep an eye out for. But I like Corey Linsely, Alex Mack, or just draft one at that point. Oh, Austin Blythe too, of course. So name a lineman that you guys want to sign. It could be a center. It could be a guard. It could be a tackle. I'm going to make this question, the one you see right here, the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get that ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in and let me know what lineman you guys want to sign. Let's go to Joe Thuney then, who, look, I think you should consider this option. I really do. Because if you want to just upgrade with the best lineman available, I think that unquestionably actually is Joe Thuney, who has been a very reliable player for years now in the NFL. He is an instant upgrade at guard and, frankly, might even become your best player on the offensive line. Now, if you guys want Seahawks free agency videos all off-season long, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way you guys don't miss out on anything going forward. That includes any news, rumors, draft stuff included, everything. Hit that big red button and subscribe today. Let's go to Forrest Lamp, who I loved Lamp coming out of college, and now I'm not quite as sold on him. He hasn't been that good in his NFL time, and I thought at his game against Alabama at Western Kentucky, he was so good. I was convinced this guy was going to be a long-term starter on the offensive line. Hasn't actually been the case. He's actually been maybe even a backup type player. But as a former early round draft pick, I think he's worth considering. As a cheaper buy low option, I like Lamp quite a bit in that area. Let's go to Matt FEILER, who, yes, you signed B.J. Finney last year, and that was a disaster, but he could make some sense for this organization. Again, I'm not trying to break the bank on any guard outside of Joe Thuney. I don't think I have to either if I'm the Seattle Seahawks. So, yeah, the B.J. Finney experiment was a disaster. Let's try a different Steelers free agent, though. Now, if you guys want to stay festive around St. Patrick's Day, how about some Seahawks-themed St. Patrick's Day gear? Long-sleeve T-shirts, short-sleeve T-shirts, all kinds of gear is available at chatsports.com/SeahawksGreen. And it fits. There are only a handful of NFL teams that I think work in this green, all-green scheme. Of course, Seattle is one of them. That shouldn't be a huge surprise right there. The hat looks great. That looks incredibly natural. Doesn't look out of place whatsoever. So check the comments, check the description, chatsports.com/SeahawksGreen. That is the link. I'm going to put it in there. So all you guys got to do is click and go shop. To Nick Easton, who technically has actually already been released by the New Orleans Saints, so he would not impact the comp pick formula, which might be a big deal for a team that's probably going to lose some free agents. He's not great, but I do think he's better than Jordan Simmons at offensive guard, so you could bring him in, and if there's a guard in round 2 or round 4, please take him. But you don't have to reach for somebody necessarily. Let's go to Lane Taylor, who, when healthy, has been a pretty good football player for the Green Bay Packers. Hasn't been that healthy as of late. Now, I know that Seahawks just moved on, or really because he retired, from Mike Iupati, and injuries were a factor there, but that's the type of buy low guy I think makes sense for this organization. Now, what do you guys think is the bigger need for this team? Is it at guard? Is it at center? I think they're 1A, 1B. So let me know what you guys think. Pick a bigger need for me. G for guard, or type in C for center. I did want to mention some tackles. I think the Seahawks go in a different direction, but still worth discussing. Trent Williams, if you're going to break the bank on any offensive lineman, do it with Trent. Now, he's a left tackle, just like Dwayne Brown, so someone's got to move, and he's probably not going to leave the Niners anyway, but I couldn't not mention one of the best offensive free agents in this year's class. So should Seattle sign, that's a tongue twister right there, a starting offensive lineman? 1 for yes, 0 for no. I am open to that idea if you can find the right guy at the right cost. I think you can survive with Brandon Shell, but it has to be a clear and obvious upgrade. So get your votes in. 1 for yes, 0 for no. I do think DARYL Williams would be a clear and obvious upgrade. I just wonder how much he's going to cost. And I would wonder if going from Jordan Simmons to, say, Joe Thuney, as opposed to Brandon Shell to DARYL Williams, actually means it makes more sense for Seattle to invest in guard as opposed to a tackle. To Rick Wagner now we go, who I actually am intrigued by. Older football player, but he actually played pretty well for the Green Bay Packers. He was just cut as well, meaning the comp pick impact isn't going to be that bad. So of the tackles, the 4 we mentioned, I actually like Rick Wagner the most. I think he could also play guard for you if you needed him to, which adds extra level of interest, at least from my perspective. Finally, KELVIN BEACHUM, who, again, is he better than Brandon Shell? Maybe? Maybe not. Kind of more of a lateral move. If you could save money somehow going from Shell to BEACHUM, okay, I think we can have that conversation. I'm not convinced it's the most likely outcome, but I think it could make some sense. Either way, folks, if you want Seattle to invest in one of these offensive linemen that we mentioned, or any offensive lineman we didn't mention, make sure to like today's video.